This is Comic Geek Speak, episode 416, a return visit with writer Daniel Way. Welcome to Comic Geek Speak. I'm Brian Deemer.
I'm Adam Murdoch.
I'm Brian Chrisman.
I'm Jamie D.
And this episode of Comic Geek Speak is sponsored by the Pittsburgh Comic-Con, happening April 25th, 26th, and 27th in Pittsburgh, PA. It is a great convention. This is actually one of our favorite conventions of the year.
Yes, it
has
is.
been every year since we've started going. And it's jam-packed with mega talent. You got Mike Grell's going to be there. Michael Golden, Herb Trimpe.
Actually,
perennial
Herb
favorite.
Trimpe will not be there to cancel.
What the hell? Then forget it.
Yeah, we're not going.
It's over.
Deals off.
No Herb Trimpe.
Sorry.
All right, who else we got?
Sal Buscema?
Sal Buscema, Michael Turner, Arthur Sudam.
Actually, Michael Turner also had to cancel.
Oh my God, pants!
Don't.
What are you doing?
Shoot the messenger. Jeez.
Messenger. We don't want to get our fans all riled up for Michael
then
Turner.
you should be doing this damn things if you know who's going to be there, who's not.
Well, no, unfortunately, Michael Turner had a relapse again.
What about Tim Truman?
I'll tell you who's not. He's going to be there.
Okay, Billy Tucci, Tom DeFalco, Ron Friends,
They can't see you shaking your head, pants.
I know.
See ya.
Scott McDaniel.
I'll stop you when you get wrong.
Okay, Jimmy Palmiotti,
Jimmy
Amanda
Palmiotti
Conner.
and Amanda Conner will not be there.
Are you serious?
I am serious. It was updated on the website today.
Oh my goodness. Okay, then Pat Olaf.
Yes. Oh, isn't also... Well, never mind. I don't...
Well, you know the best person who's going to be there, Katie
Us.
Cook,
Oh,
and she's going to be at our booth.
Absolutely, yes.
So screw all those other guys who don't show up. Katie's still going to be there.
Yes.
And what more do you have to... Everybody just bring all your commission money right to Katie, and she'll take care of you. So, it's going to be a great con. It always is.
Yes.
Nice, all about the comics, low-key,
Yep.
real fun. A lot of FaceTime with all the creators.
And we have a panel Saturday afternoon at noon.
That's right,
panel.
the trivia panel.
Yep.
So come on out, sign up for that, and see if you can't win some prizes. We're going to have lots of prizes. We don't know what they are yet, but we're going to have some prizes. So, anyway, Pittsburgh Comic-Con. That's PittsburghComicCon.com. And for this episode, we are going to be talking to Daniel Way. He asked to come back because he had fun the last time, and he wanted to entertain questions from our listeners. So people posted questions on the forum, and we're going to be asking those questions. So enjoy. All right, and we're joined once again with Daniel Way. Welcome to the show, Daniel.
How you doing?
It's good to have you back.
Yeah, it's great to be back. I had a really good time last time.
Awesome. And I guess it's my understanding that you wanted to field some questions from the audience.
Yeah, those tend to be the best. So.
All right.
Can I start actually?
Sure, go ahead, Peter.
Yes. How's your espresso coming? One shot down. Here's the other one. I'm almost there. That might tarnish your image a little bit. I don't know. Is that right? Well, I'm going to put some bourbon in it. Am I back on track?
There you
Okay.
go. That's back
There
on
you go.
track.
Yeah.
All right, we're off to the races.
Okay. So the very first question is from I Am Sci-Fi, Ian Levinstein out of Brooklyn, New York. He says, how much old Deadpool did you read to prepare for the upcoming series?
I read the bulk of Joe Kelly's run, frankly, because that's what I really sparked to. I read the intro of the character. I read, the Rob Liefeld stuff. Some of the earlier stuff, and then, Circle of Blood. But, and then, almost all of the Cable and Deadpool stuff. Just kind of, where find out where the character is, currently and what we should be, what's in the recent memory, Right. But quite a bit of it. I always like to be, I always read the origin issues, most intently because you want to stick to the original character. But in the case of Deadpool, I don't think he really kind of crystallized the character until Joe Kelly really took him in that really wacky direction, with the the breaking the fourth wall and falling in love with death, and just complete insanity. I thought that's where he really came into his own.
Now,
character. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I was going to say, Ian had a follow-up question, and that is, do you intend to use Deadpool more the way he was used during the recent run or back in the 90s?
I would a bit of both. Our Deadpool book is going to be this is an action-oriented book. It's a comedic action book, but this isn't a buddy book, where we have kind of the guest of the month. This is firmly in the Marvel Universe, dealing with the topical events in the Marvel Universe, what's happening right now, and as we'll see, and after this first arc, and the first arc is 3 issues, so we can just get it out there quickly and establish the status quo. But we're teeing him up for a lot of action. He is going to be very involved. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to want to talk to him, and a lot worse.
The character sometimes is, and you might have already answered this question, but sometimes it acts as like a writer's voice in that way. Either through like maybe little jokes that they'll make, or it's one of those characters that I think writers enjoy to write because they can sort of poke fun at things without them actually having to say it themselves.
Oh yeah. He can. It's something you have to watch. That
Right.
He doesn't become too much of a cipher, for you, because Deadpool has a lot of fans, more so than Daniel Way will ever have. That's always. It's some people. I don't want to say some people, but it's something you have to avoid. You have to be realistic, in that none of us are ever going to be as big as these characters. So you have to kind of just be a steward of the character and stay out of its way. Don't try to imprint yourself on top of it, because that's how characters end up getting really screwed up.
That's interesting that you say that, because either because of like the last interview we did, or just some other things I read online just to research some stuff. Every now and then you'll see a post where they sort of say the opposite about you, and yet here you are saying the opposite of what they said. And it's not that just for you to, because that's certainly what I think a lot of people probably hope a writer would say, that it is about the character, not about the writing. And honestly, I don't know if I can even.
I think that I made a bit of earlier in my career, in that when I would do interviews, and particularly online interviews, which I just had a hard time taking them seriously. And I'm an entertainment writer, and a lot of those interviews are but it's not like this. It's like a questionnaire. They send you questions, and then you write the interview.
Yeah.
So I would just write it for entertainment purposes, because I find most of what I find online to be kind of dull, and I'll punch it up a bit, and then I kind of got it worked in some instances, and it didn't work in others. But it's kind of the die was cast. But no, I always very conscious about not trumping the character, trying to keep him in line, or he or she in line with their previous characterization.
So to hear you say that actually makes me wonder if and I'm not trying to fish for anything, but it makes me wonder if you actually think there are some writers who do that. Sort of put themselves in front of.
I wouldn't. And even if they do, it's not I'm not looking to condemn anyone for doing it. Right. But there are some. You'll read through something, and then there'll be that one line of dialogue that's just it's a complete clanger,
Yeah.
Like they wouldn't say that, or something they wouldn't do, or just I don't know. Like there was. I don't want to pull out any specific references, but every once in a while I'll read something, and it sounds more like the writer telling me a story over the phone, like an anecdote, than it feels like that character going through that story. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense?
No, absolutely.
But I can tell it's that person talking,
Absolutely.
All right, so the next question on the forum is from Alexander B. And correct me, guys, I think Alexander is he the 15-year-old who introduced himself to us recently? Yeah. So you have a younger guy here.
Hey, right on. The next generation.
Absolutely. He says, would you ever be interested in writing a team book containing some of Marvel's best supernatural characters? And if so, who would make up the team?
A lot of us have this dream of doing, that book with all the 70s like occult characters. I've talked to Steve Niles about it, and God, who else? Like half a dozen of us. Who was saying something about it? Was it Tony Moore? He wanted to draw it. Yeah, it would be great. Who would be on it? Oh God, I don't know. Ghost Rider. I loved writing Ghost Rider. Oh God, who else? Son of Satan.
Oh wow,
Man Thing. Gosh, who else?
You gotta have some
so
Brother
some of the
Voodoo.
really weird ones. I'm fascinated with the characters of Beyonder. Who else? The Molecular Man. Well, that's not really a supernatural character.
How about some Brother Voodoo?
Some of the no kidding. I already wrote Brother Voodoo. I put him in. No, that was Hypno Hustler.
Okay.
He was in my Tangled Web story.
Oh, common mistake.
And at one point, I was putting together something with who was it? The living zombie, Simon Garth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like back in when Axel first called me when Max was first starting to come together, because then all of a sudden it was like, no, Tarantino's going to do it. Do you remember that going around? Did that rumor ever circulate?
I don't remember hearing that at all.
No.
Is that right? Well, there you go. But evidently it never happened. So,
what do you think appeals to you with those characters, other than just
the pulp nature?
Yeah.
When I did that 2-issue thing with Corbin, I wanted to go whole hog. I actually wanted Corbin to. I wanted to like have the paper artificially yellowed, and I wanted like Corbin to do a 70s style logo for those 2 issues. I wanted it to all be flashback actually, but it was decided that we needed, just to keep momentum going, that we needed a real time story, and so I ended up having to. And Corb was only on for 2 issues, so I had to kind of do a bit of a chop job at the last minute. But which always left a bad taste in my mouth, because I'm getting to work with Richard Corbin, and then the story itself I was just not 100% satisfied with. But it could be that I've got an opportunity to work with Corbin again soon on something really cool.
Great.
That'd be awesome.
Just going to have to leave that hanging for now.
The next question is from Wood. Now, Wood's favorite character is Deadpool, so he says, Deadpool is usually written with a humorous bent, but all too often writers have had him avoid killing, which makes no sense, given that his job is that of an assassin. Do you plan on acknowledging...
He's not an assassin, he's a mercenary, which he's a hired gun. Now, he's going to do with that gun what he sees fit. But... Anyway, finish the question.
Well, he says, do you plan on acknowledging his penchant for killing people in his book? And if not, why?
Oh, yeah, he's going to be killing. Deadpool's a killer. All jokes aside, there's your pun. He's a killer. And the thing is, he's been thrown away by humanity. So he doesn't really feel bad about returning the favor. This is a guy who's been literally flushed down the toilet. And when he woke up, they tortured him some more. I mean, he's gone through the bottom again and again and again. So, no, he kills people because because we got it coming.
Because he's the merc with the mouth, isn't that how they originally?
Exactly. Yeah. He's he'll tell a joke before it happens, but it's going to happen. And I don't know exactly. I mean, I can understand, the desire to make him seem more heroic, but he's an amazingly flawed character. Sooner or later he's going to blow it. So, and which and you want to see that happen on a grand scale, read the first arc of our Deadpool book. It doesn't get much bigger than this.
It does make me wonder, like when he first appeared, he was clearly, I guess you could say he was more of a villain than he was later, like you just said, you know.
Yeah, he was just kind of, just total badass, and he's kind of a mashup of all what was popular at the time. He was all anti-hero. He had a lot of pouches and guns. He was really he's like Cable-esque, and he had Wolverine, but then it was kind of later on that he picked up a lot of like Spider-Man qualities. That kind of effervescent, just a bit of zaniness. But without the innocence of Peter Parker. He was. This was a guy. You had to take him warts and all. That's why I say he kind of. When the character first popped up, I wasn't all that impressed, frankly. But later on, it's just he kind of just metamorphosed into something really fantastic, a really, really cool character, and there's not another one like him.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, how much of his character makes you sort of flash back and go, man, this happened to me, and this would be a perfect setup for him, in some of his quieter moments or whatever.
Well, there was, it hasn't really, well, as far as the quieter moments, yeah, well, some of the stuff that I observed that is, you look around hard enough, you don't have to look all that hard to find just blatant insanity around you, in life. But there's been plenty of times where I've just wanted to write, Deadpool goes to the grocery store. I mean, if you've ever you go to a grocery store at like 6 p.m., you need a Valium to get through it. But other than that, there aren't that many instances in real life where Daniel Way and Deadpool would be having the same kind of adventures. You know what I mean? Right. But my brother, he's in the military. He told me a story the other day that I'm going to have to use one day. But there's these two young soldiers, right? They're in a Humvee. They're just cruising across the desert. And these things, they don't have air conditioning. Well, I guess they do now, but they didn't then. So they got the windows down. They're zooming across the desert and just talking about something because there's no radio. And just out of nowhere, a rocket. Now they got both windows down, and out of nowhere, a rocket shoots right through the cab, through the driver's side window, out the passenger side window, just right through them, right in front of both their faces. And they just looked at each other, and thanks to their training, hit the gas and put their heads down, and kept going. But I was just like, and I looked at my brother. I was like, Matt, are you serious about this story? He said, dead serious. And the thing was, the guy who it happened to who told him the story, he actually dodged another rocket attack, but it wasn't quite as, amazing stories kind of, circumstance. So you see that pop up, that's based in a real story.
That's crazy.
Real events.
So, moving on, the next question is from a guy who goes by Frank Castle on the forum, former cop from Seattle. He says, your Punisher versus Bullseye book was brilliant. Any chance of another story with those two?
There's always a chance, and I'm always up to doing a Bullseye story. I think it would kind of have to be with Steve Dillon, just because that character and me and Steve, it's a good fit. I don't know if it's going to happen anytime soon, but I can say that Bullseye will be making an appearance in the Deadpool book sooner rather than later.
Cool. Yeah, we talked about that last time too, about Steve Dillon, and he seems to really speak to your strengths as a writer and what you're able to get across.
Oh yeah. Steve's. I mean, what can I say? He's a legend. He's a 30+ year vet. I mean, it doesn't get much better than Steve Dillon.
Cool.
Next question, actually multiple questions, are from a guy who goes by Deadpool on the forum, so he must be a big fan.
I bet, when he's filling out his signing up for the form, he's probably typing that up. He's like, God, I hope I get to be Deadpool. I hope nobody else is registered yet.
Exactly.
And then it happened. He was like, fuck yeah.
Well, he starts off by saying, "Thanks for doing this, Mr. Way," which I do appreciate. It's very cool.
Hey, I appreciate the fact that I get to make my living doing this stuff. So, call me anytime.
And he says, "Will T-Ray be a part of the new Deadpool solo series?"
I've been going to conventions. Because I've got this book coming out, so I've kind of got to get out on the trail and drum up as much interest as I can. So, like, I was in Orlando last month, and I'll be in New York this month. But a lot of fans ask me about, like, T-Ray, and the fact of the matter is that as it is now, it's really hard to launch a new book, and have a successful launch. The market's is pretty tough, and it's because, for a number of reasons, I'm sure, and I'm sure that one of the biggest ones is the economy is in the shitter, and there's not a lot of dollars to go around, and I can, same thing in my house,
Right.
But in order to everybody working on this book is a big fan of the character, huge fans of the character, and we want this book to stick around. We don't want it to, have a year and then, disappear. So, the only way that you can do that is to do, we angled so that we launched out of Secret Invasion. Deadpool is going to play a big part in Secret Invasion. He's going to play an even bigger part in the kind of the aftermath of Secret Invasion. And along those same lines, in order for us to have a good launch, is that we can't get too D-list with the cameo appearances, at least not right away. Or you have to sprinkle them amongst other more high-profile stuff. So I know there's a laundry list of characters that we want, all of us fans want to see back in the book. But just be patient. They will show up. We will see Slayback. We will see Bob. But you got to make them. You got to make them count. You got to pick your battles. And if I populate it with a bunch of these kind of minor characters from his past continuity, it's going to be great. And we can all talk about it when the book goes into cancellation. You know what I mean? You got to kind of keep it high profile until it finds its legs, and then we can kind of indulge our more fan-like tendencies.
Hey, go ahead, Peter.
I was going to say, they certainly give you characters that, these are Wolverine, Deadpool. These are very polarizing. Even Ghost Rider, to a degree, they're polarizing in their fans and the way fans want them to be, treated.
I got my first taste. Well, with the Wolverine book, it's Wolverine. It's Marvel's #1 character. Well,
right.
That distinction jumps back and forth between Spider-Man and Wolverine, but fan favorite is Wolverine. Come on, look at all those Wizard covers. So I knew I would be marching into the Lion's Den on that one. But Ghost Rider was something else. It was eye-opening because there are fans of Ghost Rider who don't like any other comic books. You know what I mean? They're like, right. Yeah, I'm a Ghost Rider fan. I only like Ghost Rider. It's the only book I buy. And I met these people in person, talked to them. I shot emails back and forth with them. And I'm starting to, I'm getting that a lot from the Deadpool fans too. They're very hardcore, and I couldn't be happier. That's great. That's what, that's going to be the base that everything's built upon. And hopefully, a year from now we'll be talking about how great the book's been doing, and we're just top of the charts, and everything will be great. We'll know that the character will have that, the profile, the luster that it used to have back in the 90s. Get him back on the A-list. That's where I think he belongs. I think he's one of the more, engaging characters that Marvel has. Cool.
Now, Dan, you said you were in Orlando, did you eat breakfast at the Golden Corral one morning?
Yes, I did.
Because you were actually at
I was eating at the hotel, and it was like, what? There was it was like a CVS pharmacy or Walgreens or something right next to the Golden Corral.
Yep.
And I went over there to buy fingernail clippers. And then I saw the Golden Corral, and I was like, well, geez, I've been eating breakfast at the hotel, and and it's like, was it $48, for the watery eggs, in the buffet line, or I could go to Golden Corral and have the same thing for like $3.99. It's like it's the same, bacon and 2 eggs, 3 slices of bacon, and a glass of orange juice. It's like, how much would you pay? In my case, I'd rather pay $4.
Because we actually sat at the table across from you one morning, and you were by yourself, and I was going to say something. I was like, nah, I don't want to bug the guy while he's eating, but I would have invited you to our table, but I didn't want to intrude.
Oh, well, I probably could have. Did I have a paper?
You might have. I think maybe
I either had a paper and it took me 10 minutes to eat, or I didn't. It took me 4 minutes. I really do prefer to have someone to eat with. Otherwise, I eat like a spider monkey. It just comes from years of training, working in kitchens, where eating was like, it's like such a waste of time. I could be smoking cigarettes or talking shit to waitresses. Just get it done, and get it over with. So. Yeah, I imagine it's a horrible spectacle watching me eat.
No, I was too busy stuffing my face.
Something's wrong. And as I remember, it was pretty fucking terrible, wasn't it?
Oh, no. No?
No. All right, well.
You're talking to a Golden Corral connoisseur over there.
Is that right?
He lives and dies by this place.
My God. I ate breakfast there, I think, every day I was down there.
Yeah. It's one of the first things he researches.
That's actually, is it my second or third time? Like, I've been to a couple shows in Orlando, and I keep getting put into that same hotel. And it's a great hotel, but it's the first year I noticed, there's just, Golden Corral right there. So odds are I'll be back. So. At least, we'll meet up for breakfast.
There you go. We'll do it next year. So
I have this unhealthy habit of eating at Waffle House. Because I travel every chance I get. So they're right there. They're right there off the interstate. And at least I don't. They give you all that stuff to put on top of your fried potatoes. Just don't eat that. And you'll live a lot longer. Just keep it basic.
See, we were getting yelled at for eating at the Golden Corral. Look, see, Daniel Way's there, so come on.
That's right. Exactly. And Stan Sakai was there the day before.
That's right.
Is that right?
It's where all the cool cats go to hang out.
It's where the creators
we say Golden
meet and
Corral
eat.
enough, especially we ought to get the address, and before we know it, we'll be getting an envelope full of free breakfast coupons from the manager.
I'm hoping.
You got to angle for the sponsorships,
Well, we do.
Play it.
We've done that already.
What you got.
Either that or a box full of day-old eggs. That's what you worry about.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think now that I was trying to, because usually I very basic, it's like some eggs and a couple pieces of bacon and some fruit when I can get it. But I seem to remember getting some cantaloupe that was a bit green. Or maybe that was honeydew melon. I don't know. I think I might have been really hungover as well.
The whole thing's a blur.
I don't know how many of my taste buds were actually firing that morning.
So Deadpool had another question. He says, critics of your work often state a lack of dialogue per issue, but Deadpool is a character that talks a lot. Are the naysayers going to have nothing to whine about?
It goes back to what I said earlier. Deadpool chatters, and therefore it'll be a chatty book. Wolverine is the strong silent type, and he doesn't talk. Ghost Rider has nothing to talk about. He's not even really a person, so he just doesn't talk. And Johnny Blaze, he's just kind of a moron. When he talks, it's just a bunch of drivel and stupidity. But yeah, I guess if that's the current criticism of my work, yeah, I guess they're just going to have to shut up about it. Because, it's chatty as hell.
Awesome.
We always I see Deadpool as, and I see the reason he's so chatty is because it's just another device that stops him from thinking about reality. Just he's a character that he makes himself stay in the moment. Where Wolverine is the guy he can't get over his past. Deadpool is the guy who refuses to consider the future or the present, for that matter. He just stays in that state of flux, and just chatter. That chatter that you hear is that's the white noise in his head. But to kind of get to address kind of the other part of the question is that comics to me it's a visual medium, and I've been very lucky, and I've worked with some really, really talented artists. And when I do that last pass on the lettering draft, when I'm looking at the art and it's all lettered up, and if you just have to look at it and say, well, what's just extraneous material? What is doing nothing but covering up fantastic art? And you just start chopping away at it. Sometimes you just have to really take a cold look at it and say, does that need to be there? And I've always thought that, I've always been of the opinion that less is more. But but like I said, in the case of the character called the character of Deadpool, that those rapid fire dialogue balloons, that's part of the character. It's just as important as the depiction itself. So, is that a nice little tangent for you? You like that?
That's good.
Did the wheels come off on that one, or what?
I love getting writers on the phone because, we just could sit back and just let them go.
Yeah, your comics might not be wordy, but you are.
Yeah, no kidding. No, I've got a lot to say. I just rarely get the chance to do it.
Well, the next question is from Nightwing BK on the forum. We actually met him for the first time down at MegaCon, so
nice.
Bringing it back to Florida. He says, Supreme Power Nighthawk was awesome. He says, and
I was pretty happy with how it turned out as well.
He says, since he's a Batman analog, what would your take on Batman be?
Well, that was my take on Batman.
There you go. That answers that question.
I mean, there was the bit about the racial tones, but with Batman, it's just substitute race for class, and it's the same thing. I mean, that story was my Batman story. That's how I would have done it. So,
cool.
And the thing is there's a lot of reasons why I like the way that story came out. I think originally it was going to be 5 issues, and I'd written the 5th issue, and the character Whiteface became such an engaging character that when I first started writing the story, I was like, I'm going to kill the hell out of this guy. That's going to be the hook. Batman's going to kill the Joker. And as we were I was fleshing him out, it was like, I like this character. I want to come back to this. So in the first draft of the 5th issue, which was the final issue, Whiteface lives. He ends up weaseling out of the situation at the very last second and living to fight another day. And I turned it in, and I heard nothing. And finally, Axel, my editor, he called me up a couple days later. He's like, "All right," he says, "I want you to look at this again." And basically, he says, "I'm going to not invoice this." And I was like, "Wow, that's new." Never had one bounce back. And he says, I think you've psyched yourself out on this one. And I was like, "Really?" Well, let me sit on that one for a while. And I looked at the script and I thought about the story, and then because I'd kind of gone around the bend, and I was like, well, it's kind of trite, we're already doing this Batman Joker thing, and it's like, oh, he's it's like it's not enough that he kills him. And then I realized it isn't enough that he just kills him. He has to kill the shit out of him. He has to kill him 3 times over. There has to be absolutely no doubt that this character is fucking dead. And once I got that worked out, it just kind of came flying out. And instead of it being one issue, it ended up being two. So the series went out to 6 issues. So when that extended scene at the end where he kills, Stephen Vince goes down. I mean, what? He gets his guts ripped out, he gets his neck broken, then he gets drowned. He's burnt as well. No, I mean, but yeah, he doesn't get any better than that.
That's true. That would do me in.
Yeah, and I when I turned in the last issue, I remember that Quesada. It was like I was pretty proud of the fact that like he was running all around the office telling everybody they had to read it. Like, hey, the kids arrived. Well, I made the boss man happy.
Now the next question is from Lord Shaper in Australia. He says,
I have fans in Australia?
Apparently. You're international, man.
Okay. I actually, I think it was Axel. He just sent me I guess it would be the Spanish edition of one of the Ghost Rider trades. It was awesome. And I think it said like "Olay, motherfucker" on the little post-it notes. But it had the Sleepy Hollow story and the Corbin issues in there. And it's like I don't know who does the foreign editions for Marvel stuff, but like a lot of them look even better than the domestic version. So it's like maybe we should get them to print all of them. We'll just import them. They look fucking fantastic, especially the hardcovers. It shows it's the only time you really see them, and you'll have somebody, like in San Diego really is where I see the most of them. Someone will hand you a comic, it's got Wolverine and it says Lobezno, and you're like, what is, wow, a lot of times they have like different covers or something. Right. And immediately you're like, oh, you don't want to, like, I don't think I wrote this. And then you see your name. Oh, I did. It is my book. And then I just sit there and geek on it and look at it. I'm like, can I hold it a bit longer before I give it back? But anyway, have I gone to what?
Have you gone to any conventions overseas?
Oh, no, I haven't. Nope, that's, no, the only, I've been to some shows in Canada. I've never actually gotten invited to any of the overseas shows. And it's and it's even I'd love to be invited, and I would hope that I would be able to take them up on it. But even a show here in the States, I live in Georgia, but even going to Orlando, it takes a lot of planning. You gotta, it's a deadline oriented business that I'm in, so I can't put the brakes on everything to go. Take 3 or 4 days to do a convention. And besides, you can't just call up your editor and be like, hey, this is going to be late because I'm going to go to Kansas City to sign books. And they're like, the books that we pay you to write, those books? They're like, oh yeah, well, maybe I should just stay home and work. And by the way, get paid. So, it's always, you always got to juggle it. And who wants to go to Europe or Australia or just to do a comic show for 3 days or 2 days?
I do.
Really? That wouldn't be enough. Like once I got over there, it's like I got to do at least a week.
Well, sure, I'd love to stay longer, but I'd take any excuse to go to Europe.
I'd defect. They'd be like waiting for me at the plane. They're like, "Is Daniel going to show up?" I'd be on the fucking train.
That's right.
Like, sorry,
it is very tempting.
I'm around. I enjoy traveling too much to let an opportunity like that slide. So if I got an invite, I would probably just bust ass for 2 or 3 months and just stockpile a ton of work, and then I'd do a 2-week thing.
That would be awesome.
See it all.
So Lord Shaper's question is, was the idea for your Ghost Rider story something you came up with, or was it something that came from higher up? And he says, either way...
That's so sinister.
What's that?
No, it was my idea. That was actually the idea that got me the job.
Awesome.
It was the first... I had 2 questions when they asked me to pitch for Ghost Rider. I said, okay, first thing, because we were going to use Garth Ennis' story as kind of the launching point, because it was, you know, it was a hit, and as Axel knew it would be. And so I said, well, all right, in Garth's story, Johnny Blaze is stuck in hell. I said, well, how and when did he die? And then everybody just kind of scratched their heads. They're like, what do you mean? I said, well, you know, he made a deal with the devil that when he died, you know, his soul, that he's destined to go to hell. So here he is in hell. So how did he die? They're like, I don't know, maybe you should write that. I said, okay, all right. That's what the Corbin issues ended up being. I said, all right, here's the second question. Why does he beat up bad guys? And they were like, what do you mean? I said, well, wouldn't he, like, encourage, if he was a demon, wouldn't they, like, encourage bad behavior? You know, I said, it makes more sense that he's an angel, you know, like an Old Testament angel. And they're like, you want to make Ghost Rider an angel? I said, well, yeah, that's my idea. And they said, you're hired. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, I think it was one of those kind of slap your forehead kind of things, whereas they knew that they could get behind it and make it work. So, and it had been a long time since you know, the character had been shaken up. You know, I mean, they had a lot of stuff going on in the '90s, but it was just so, you know, they couldn't keep a steady creative team, so it just kept changing. You know, so yeah. That was it. That was you know, when you walk into a new project, you know these characters, you know, the character that's been around since the '70s, so you want to kind of make your mark. You know, you want to announce it and make it new and fresh. It was kind of a bit awkward that I had to. It was like I got the gig and they were like, all right, well, here's the deal. You can't do that story until after the film. And the film kept getting delayed. I mean, because obviously the story would, you know, would contradict the film.
Right.
I mean, but coming out after the film, there's no contradiction. But so that's when I came up with the idea of there being, you know, these 666 pieces, and he has to hunt down these pieces of the devil. And that was our device that basically bought us the time to get to what was it, issue 18 or issue 19, where we had the big revelation. But as I'm writing those issues, they're like, Marvel approached me and they said, you know, we want you to launch a new book. And I said, well, I really can't handle 3 monthlies, you know, and the other kind of the creator own stuff that I have going on in the background. I said, I think that the work would suffer. So, and they said, well, let Ghost Rider go. I was like, oh, I don't want to let Ghost Rider go. You know, it's like, I really like this book, but Marvel's been very good to me. So, you know, if they ask me to launch a book, I'm launching the book. You know, and my relationship with Axel has been really good. So,
well, and what a way to
go, but I get to write Deadpool. So,
I was gonna say, what a way to hand off that football to Jason Aaron.
Yeah.
Go in there, shake the world up, and say, "All right, now you take care of it."
Well, that's as a writer, that's exactly what you want. You know, you don't want the same old shit.
Right.
You know, you want to catch the, you want that pass. I mean, catching the Hail Mary makes you a fucking hero. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I know for a fact that he was stoked on it. I mean, he's got stories to tell. So I'm a fan. I read it when it comes out. Actually, I try to get the scripts before they're even drawn. I'm a big Jason Aaron fan. I mean, I was kind of I don't know how much influence I had, but I shared a studio at the time. I was sharing a studio with Lee Lowridge, who was the colorist on Scalped, and so I would see the book as it was coming together, and then when later on when the DC Comics would show up, I would just go through the box and pull out Scalp. But, I really liked this story. So I don't know if it was over the phone or when Axel was down here in Savannah for a Savannah College of Art and Design thing. But I mentioned to him, I was like, who I like? It's like Jason Aaron. You see this Scalp, it's really good. And I'm pretty sure he was already aware of it, but I was like, Jason Aaron, he's really good. He should be, you want to talk to somebody, you should talk to Jason Aaron. So there you go.
Daniel Way spreading the love.
It's such a small business, and every year it becomes more and more apparent to me because you keep seeing the same people. So when someone shows up, a genuine talent, it's good for everybody, And I'll walk them right up to the editor's door. That's whenever I go to shows. I'm out there. I'm looking for the indie books. I'm not seeing as many as I used to, but I'm out there and I'm picking them up. I'm taking some of that Marvel money and I throw it at somebody who wants to get that career started. And
I guess people sort of forget sort of where you came from, for lack of a better phrase.
I was that guy,
Yeah.
With a box full of self-published comics and shelling out the money for the table and the hotels and just trying to get it up and running, getting something started for yourself.
Yeah.
And I would have really liked somebody to pick up my book and run with it. Well, I kind of had that happen. Diana Schitz helped me out. She's the one that ended up giving my book to Axel. So, and the guys from the Xeric Foundation, Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman.
Yep.
They gave me the money to do my first book through the Xeric grant. So, I've caught some breaks. And I'd like to give more back.
Awesome.
Hard. That's the first thing, especially now. It's kind of doors are kind of closing a little bit, but there's always going to be room at the table for genuine talent, but it's just tough nut to crack. I'm starting to see I guess I kind of took that for granted before, but it really is. I see a lot of guys, talented guys, and they're just hacking away at it. And but then you've got guys like Niles. They didn't let him write Hulk, so he wrote 30 Days a Night.
Right.
If you're creative, it's going to work out. If you got the chops, then you're set. Just don't give up. There's plenty of times back in the day where it's like I'd be going to work in a kitchen, going at noon and getting out at 2 in the morning, and coming home and writing when I got home or writing when I got up in the morning. And I was like, this is just fucking ridiculous. Why just be a chef, and then I could just kind of just be that, and but it wasn't enough. I wanted more. I wanted something that was just me. And anyway, when did this fucking turn into? Who am I? Like the self-help guru? Jesus Christ!
The Maharishi Maharashi.
Comic.
All right, so the next question is from Solitaire Rose. He says, last time you were on the show, you talked about all the research you did for Wolverine Origins, and you had a specific number of stories you wanted to do. Has working on the character brought up more stories, or are you still following the initial plan you had when you started?
Pretty much we're right on schedule. There's been a couple of things that we've had to adjust. There's some stuff with the Romulus character that we've had to kind of move around to make allowances for other things. The Deadpool thing involving Deadpool, having the Deadpool storyline, that was a storyline that we added. But as you'll see at the end of the current arc, I just took a different train to get to the same station. There's a big revelation at the end of this arc that it ties into the super story. We'd always planned to do the Captain America story, but we just stepped it up a bit because of Captain America being in the spotlight. But that was part of the original plan. But yeah, we're still. There's always going to be essentially an infinite number of stories you can tell with Wolverine. So you just at the outset, I had to nail it down. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm pretty much on schedule. Things are looking good. And we've got some. I know this is the Deadpool interview and not the Origins interview, but we've got some major stuff happening in Origins coming up soon. Some big announcements just big stuff. I don't know when we'll announce it, but what's after the New York Con? There's
Pittsburgh, Philly, probably Philly,
maybe
or
Philly.
Yeah.
Maybe Philly will talk about it. But yeah, big stuff. Big stuff.
All right, the next question is from Seth from St. Louis. Maybe this is an in-joke. He says, can you talk about The Devil and Miss Jones?
This some friends of mine, guys that I met through comics. They had gotten the license to produce comic book properties, I guess, based on these 70s porn movies. And they were like, hey, you wanna give it a try? I said, man, thanks for offering. Fuck no. But Ken Knutson, who's a fantastic artist and a really great writer. He did a book called My Monkey's Name is Jennifer. He did another one called I Hate Zombies. But we actually did a story together for it was what was it called? It was a Wolverine thing, a little 8-pager that we did. Anyway, I ended up we were at a show or something. We were shooting ideas back and forth about what we would do with The Devil and Miss Jones, and I wanted to do I had an idea for what was Behind the Green Door. I wanted to do Behind the Green Door as a kung fu, like a chopsaki flick. Like every time the door would open, it'd be like naked ninjas and stuff. Naked female ninjas. But there's never any shortage of bizarreness in my life. So there you go.
All right. Well, Gargoyle from over in Bristol, England, he says, while I still believe it's selling well, Wolverine Origins doesn't seem to have been a big success with fans. I've seen everything from concerns about overexposure of the character to ruining Origin. It being
and that's been out there since I remember reading that. They were writing that in 1991. That Wolverine's overexposed and going to ruin the character, but hasn't happened yet. So anyway, was there more?
Yeah, he says, and also concerns that it's such a shame that Steve Dillon is trapped on that book, and it's not convenient. It's not it being too convenient in tying Logan into all these big Marvel Universe happenings. He says, does this sort of criticism change your plans for the book?
No. I mean, he took it. He really went around the bend to ask that question. No, it doesn't. Everything gets criticized. As well it should be, But as far as the book not being a success, I really don't. I'm trying to figure out what that's based on. Is it? It still sells in the it's like a top 25 book. I think
he's probably. I think
it fail. I'm not sure.
Well, I think it's one of those deals where perhaps the vocal minority on the internet complains about it, but the sales figures would say otherwise. And
that's what the internet is. You get used to it, and it's one of those things. Like this interview will go out over the internet, and so I'm utilizing it for my own purposes. So I have to kind of deal with the other stuff that people want to jump on a message board and say that Wolverine Origins is a failure, but I'm the one that gets to look at the royalty checks, and I can tell you it's a successful endeavor. And there was 2 Wolverine books, or there was 1 Wolverine book, and now there's 2, and both of them do well. For the first 13 issues or something like that, we outsold the parent title. That's like Spectacular Spider-Man outselling Amazing Spider-Man.
Right.
So
cool.
I don't know. I feel pretty good about it.
Well, I mean, and you're coming up on what, like? I'm looking here.
I can never remember what the current issue is because I think I'm writing like issue 30 or 31 right now. So
Yeah, so you're writing 30, but so, I mean, that's a third of, I remember you saying before you could tell 50, 60 stories. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, 60 issues, yeah.
So.
And
especially in this day and age where people only stay on for like 12 a year, and that's it, and they're here and gone, so.
Yeah, no. Well, we've got a story to tell, and the first act is done, and we're moving into that second act, and like I said, we've got some pretty major announcements to make here in the next few months, so next month or so. So stay tuned.
How you doing on time, Daniel?
I'm good.
Okay, well then we'll go on a couple more. This one is from Jibba Jaw. He's in New York City. He says, when writing, what is your biggest hurdle to cross? Is it not as much time or not enough pages to pack in your story? And then he has kind of a secondary question. What do you do when you have reached that creative block and the story isn't moving? What do you do to break through it?
I've got a really kind of, my approach to writing is the toughest part is always just sitting down and committing to doing it, and just, start tapping the keys, just get it flowing. And, good or bad, just get it going and, edit later. Or hell, turn it in wholesale, turn it into fucking 36 pages, and put your editor to work. Just get it out, don't fucking sit around and wait for the muse to show up. There are moments, inspired moments, but, you don't just walk around in a constant state of inspiration. You have to fucking kickstart it. So the toughest part to me, usually with any script, usually by the time I hit page 8, I'm on the other. I'm over the over the hill, and I'm on the downward slope. I'm pretty much finished after that. You get your opening scene, and then you start kind of building the guts of the book. But like I said, by page 8, that's usually the magic page, and from then on out, I know exactly what I'm going to do and where it's going to fall. That's usually when it's probably because at that point the ending is kind of crystallized. I know what it's going to be, whether it's I know the image or 'cause you always outline the story, but you got to keep the outline kind of loose so that it gives it room to grow. Unless you've got one of those moments of inspiration in the outline stage where it's just bursts from your forehead, and you know what everything's supposed to be without a doubt. That happened with the first issue of Bullseye Greatest Hits. I knew exactly what that book was supposed to be. Actually, most of that book, I knew I was pretty frosty on.
Cool. Well, I think we have time for one last question, and this one's going to come from Thomas in Scottsdale, Arizona, and he simply says, "Why are you so awesome?"
Genetics? I don't know. That is a fantastic question, and I'd love to answer it. It's always nice to hear, a fan, just a compliment, because again, like we were talking about earlier, the internet will give you all of the negatives that you could ever possibly need. I've had this conversation. Don't ever let a comic book creator tell you that it doesn't drive them nuts. Not constantly, but every once in a while, it'll just get under your skin. I've talked with Mark Miller and Brian Bendis, and just a lot of guys, and just like Joe Quesada. And a lot of times you really just kind of scratch your head. You're like, God, they really fucking let me have it there, didn't they? But they didn't talk about the book or the character at all. They're just talking about me. Like that's a bit scary. But yeah.
I think some of the flip side of that though too is that it's become a little bit more of like a rock star kind of thing now, and I've certainly said that.
but then I've bumped into you guys at a convention. When I'm at a show and I'm meeting people, I meet some of the coolest fucking people. We got, and the thing is, we already know we all have something in common. You know what I mean? So like right away, we start. We got something to chat about, and you meet some really cool cats, and the internet gets you think of it and you think of just kind of this rabid kind of inarticulate mob, But I meet people, and these are some of the most literate, just cognitive people that I've ever really talked to. Gathering with some pretty intellectual folks. Every once in a while, you might have to look past the fucking Naruto headband or whatever, which is a bit weird. But I've had some pretty cool conversations, based around comic books. That I pretty just really cool way to pass the time, and keep shock some brain cells back into motion.
Awesome. Well, Danny, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and for letting the listeners get a little bit of their voice in. And
hey, thanks for having me.
We wish you the best of luck with Deadpool and all your other books.
And you're going to be at New York?
New York, and I'm also going to be in May for Free Comic Book Day. I'm going to be at this thing called Cape in Dallas.
Yeah.
They're bringing me out there for that, so I'm pretty excited about it. It's an outdoor thing, and I'm all about if it's if it's outdoors, it's already caught my attention. Because it's not like these comics are plugged into the wall. Take the fucking things outside, get a tan, take them to the beach. But so Free Comic Book Day, I'll be in Dallas. I think there's a bunch of other cool people there too, so should be a cool party.
We'll see you in New York, definitely.
Oh yeah, you guys are going?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Nice. This is my first time going to the New York show.
Oh,
awesome!
It's going to be a hell of a show this year.
Yeah, I've been warned to get there early and not leave. So I got my Marvel itinerary, and they're like, don't play around. Be there early because the place could get locked down at any second.
Yeah. Anyway.
I guess they had problems before, where they weren't letting people in, and a lot of the pros were fucking stranded.
Oh yeah, I got
on the cell phone. So like, I know I got a panel, but it ain't happening. I'm outside.
Yeah, I got stuck in line with both Casada and DiDio. And DiDio was walking around handing out pins and stuff because he had nothing else to do because he was stuck. He couldn't get in the hall.
Yep.
That's hilarious. And the way it goes, like I'm flying in. I think I touched down in LaGuardia, 2 or 3, and I think I'm supposed to be on the Secret Invasion panel at 4 or 5. Ooh. So I'm getting off the plane, getting into a cab, and going straight to the show. And I'm hopefully somebody can meet me at the door with my badge. Otherwise, I might have a bit of a problem.
Well, best of luck to that.
I'll be jumping in there like fucking secret agent.
Tell the cabbie, step on it.
Yeah, no kidding. Follow that guy. Oh, but I'm like I said, I'm looking forward to it, and
right.
And I'm kind of hoping, I love going out to San Diego and all, but that's a long flight, and man, it's not cheap either. So if the New York show, becomes, I'd like there to be 2 equal, cons on either side of the continent. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it became a choice to do one or the other. That would be great. So I'm all about. I hope it just gets bigger and bigger.
Cool.
Not that maybe I'll just do 1 year do San Diego, the other year do New York. That'd be nice.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, we'll see you in a few days.
Yeah. Thanks a bunch.
All right. Have a great night.
Hey, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Once again, a cool benefit of checking the forums because you get to know and ask questions Daniel Way.
Absolutely. Peter, you're still there, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this entry was sent in by Jeremy Nissen. He's Jer on the forums. Question number 1, DC. Which writer is responsible for introducing Barbara Gordon as Oracle?
That would be John Ostrander in Suicide Squad.
That is correct. Question 2, Marvel. In the original Power Man and Iron Fist series finale, who killed Danny Rand?
Oh, I don't know if he probably wants a name. It was like, wasn't it like some kid was in a hospital and was he in like a coma or something and he had some powers that could blah blah blah. I don't know his name. It was some kid. He killed him somehow, and then it turned out it wasn't Iron Fist, and I don't know, something like that.
Murd, you know the name of the...
I do not.
Okay, well, Peter, you're very close. Captain Hero, the alter ego of a hospital-bound young boy who Iron Fist had been trying to heal. Iron Fist, so exhausted from his mystical healing efforts, couldn't respond to the boy, prompting his transformation to Captain Hero, in which form he lashed out in frustration, beating Iron Fist to death before disintegrating.
Jeez.
Happy Comics.
There you go.
Happy Comics.
Question 3, Independent. In Invincible, just kidding. In Alex Robinson's box office Poison, Sherman's relationship with his batshit insane girlfriend, Dorothy Lestrade, is one of the central storylines. Although it's what she prefers to be called, Dorothy is actually her middle name. What's her real name?
I never read it. Jennifer.
Oh, Beatrice.
Oh.
So, there you go. Well, you were not stumped, so
cool.
It's all right. Okay, so I guess that wraps us up for this episode. We should do a quick Book of the Month Club reminder that this month is Iron Man Demon in a Bottle, which you can get at InStockTrades.com for only, well, for 45% off. I don't know the price, $13 or something like that.
Yep.
For the hardcover,
Yep. And next month will be from the manga month, and it will be Crying Freeman, Volume 1 from Dark Horse Manga. So check that out. And this episode was sponsored by the Pittsburgh Comic-Con, happening April 25th, 26th, and 27th in Monroeville, PA, just outside of Pittsburgh at the Expo Mart. And there's going to be a lot of people there, and we're going to be there, and Sal Buscema is going to be there, Jamie. So there you go.
Well, that's fun.
So check it
I have
out.
no problem with Sal.
PittsburghComicCon.com. And let's see here. If you'd like to send us an email, it's comicgeekspeak@gmail.com, and visit our website at comicgeekspeak.com. To leave us a voicemail, the number is 215-279-8839. And you can be part of the most awesome community of comic fans at thecomicforums.com. You can also find our recent episodes on worldfamouscomics.com, as well as the latest in comics news, reviews, columns, contests, and more. And as always, we are uniting the world's mightiest heroes, one listener at a time.
Opening?
Yeah, just hit the stop and